Hi, everybody. This is Appa Brian at Appa Baseball Classics with our NFL Weeks to Pick, NFL Week Picks to Post Week 7 show. We do every Tuesday night. We're coming back on here proudly, although we don't always have the greatest of records. I joined with Dan Manually, my son-in-law. Dan, how you doing?
Well, as long as I ignore how I did with my picks last week, I'm just fine, Brian.
Dan is fresh back from attending the Oklahoma KU game in Norman, Oklahoma last week. What's the next college game you're going to, Dan?
We're going to K-State in Texas, November. So looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit colder than 90 degrees, though.
Yeah, you never know. It could be anywhere from 20 to 50, you know, by then. Last week, we were 3-2 with Rob's channel. So we fell back one game, and I think we're at +2. We won the Washington-Chicago pick and the Green Bay and New York Jets pick. But we lost the Indianapolis-Jacksonville pick, Seattle-Arizona, and the Buffalo-Kansas City pick. Most of us had a tough week. I was 8-6. You were 5-9. Lori and Justin were 9-5. Justin doesn't give his picks until Thursday. Other friends of the channel, Bruins fan was 6-8, and Matt was 7-7. And I like to follow the Sportsman Disease channel, and he was 8-6. We have a special guest on the show today. Rob's channel last week decided 2 games with a decider die. and the 3 words for this week are average margin of victory. The average margin of victory in the NFL this year is 8 points. And there's been only one other season where it's been under 10. So it's making cotton picking difficult project to pick these teams.
Yeah, the quality of play is really, really odd. Brady filed that complaint, which I've never heard of a player doing that with the competition committee about how, the level of play isn't what he's used to seeing in the NFL this year. I don't really know where he's totally coming from with that, but these teams are not separating from each other. There's a few sitting there toward the top, but everybody else is right there in the middle, it seems like. And games can go really any which way. It's hard.
I think Brady's coming out of left field. There's another area he's coming out of left field. We'll talk about that when we get down to Tampa's pick this week. But shall we use a decider dice? Yes, no. We'll see what the dice says. Well, the dice says no, because he's going to leave us on our own this week.
Oh boy, that's dangerous for me.
First up is Arizona Cardinals in their black helmets hosting the New Orleans Saints. Cardinals hosting the Saints.
So Cardinals do get Deandre Hopkins back this week. So that may make a difference for Kyler Murray. They'd been missing him for sure. It's a weird game. It's going to be a tough one. The Saints show up and play one quarter, and then they do nothing the next. I went back and forth on this one too, and I just came up with, Arizona at home. I think that if they're going to fight for Cliff Kingsbury's job, they need to do it right now, because he's on the hot seat for sure. With as much money as they've spent on that roster, he needs to deliver.
And so you're picking?
I'm picking the Cardinals.
Gotcha, Cardinals. We're joined by DJ John 444, and he's picking the Saints. So DJ is picking New Orleans. As you said, DeAndre Hopkins is coming back. They also traded for Robbie Anderson. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. he was last seen arguing with his coaches on the Carolina sidelines. I would always be slow to bring somebody like that onto a roster myself. But they're losing Marquise Brown to a foot fracture. He got about 6 weeks, and so far he is their leading receiver. So that might be kind of a wash. Murray's at 65%, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They're going to have to find a kicker this week. They cut Amendola. He won't be missed.
No, not at all.
New Orleans, you never know what New Orleans, you never know what's going to happen with Taysom Hill, whether he's running the ball, passing the ball, running the Wildcat, returning kicks. He's a jack of all trades, or receiver. I'm not positive. They might have put him in on a defensive play.
I didn't see that, but you might be right. I can look it up.
Yeah, maybe I was dreaming that. I don't know. New Orleans gets Chris Olave back, and he's coming out of concussion protocol. Their defense is still 29th in points allowed, and the defense is just not getting it done. They can kind of rush the quarterback rather. And Mario Davis has 4 sacks, and Cam Jordan 3.5 sacks. So they can put but they're going to have to chase around Kyler Murray. He's used to that. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go with Arizona, even though this is one of my picking games. I've got Arizona. Next up is the Atlanta Falcons at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Falcons are tough, man. They play every game really well. They're a bit like it's them and the Lions that, you know, they can take a game off of just about any team in the league. They're getting, you know, pretty decent production from Marcus Mariota. They're finding ways to generate offense in the passing game and the running game. Their defense isn't great. They're going to be running with anybody. It's going to come down to the wire. But the Bengals are starting to put it together. I think their defense is actually looking a little bit better than I thought they were, and they're starting to really block for Joe Burrow. And you can tell that they are game planning to get the ball to Jamar Chase now. They're figuring out ways to get him involved and Joe Mixon, and it's really unlocked the offense. I think that the more those guys touch the ball, no offense to T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, the better the Bengals are. And with them making this concerted effort to get them quality touches, I don't think the Falcons will be able to beat the Bengals.
One thing also would add, the Bengals they only had 29 penalties this year, so they're playing with quite a lot of discipline. The Falcons, I think Cordell Stewart is still going to be injured, but they've got a bevy of running backs who average from 4 to 6 yards carrying the ball. So that seemed to
block.
Yeah, it's not been a problem missing Patterson, and that's allowed the offense not to make it into the Marcus Mariota show. So he's been credible, 61% and 6 touchdowns, 4 INTs. So with Cordell Patterson still on the IR, I think their offense is still going to hang in there. They've kept their games close. 2 of their games have been within 4 points. So they're not an easy victory. Cincinnati is getting better and better week by week slightly, I think. And they're healthier now at receiver with Chase and T. Higgins, like you said. Burrow's at 67%, 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Still, the run game is a bit below average with Mixon still not up to 4 yards per carry. And their run defense is below average, too. People are running the ball, and that's not good for them to take into a Falcons game. They're not stopping the run. And the defense is not getting a pass rush. Last year, they had a good pass rush. They had 2 premier guys sacking quarterbacks. It's not happening this year. But I'm still with Cincinnati on this game. I think the Bengals will take it. But it's going to be another one of those, in my mind, a pick 'em game that the decider die could be just as accurate. All right, next we have the Detroit Lions at the Dallas Cowboys. Before we go there, DJ picks the Bengals and Lori has the Bengals. Okay.
Well, this game almost feels like a trap game. Dallas really did not have enough to hang with a very, very good Eagles team that ended their win streak. I think the Eagles were so complete on offense and defense that it was very difficult for the Cowboys to get anything going. They're facing a team this week, the Detroit Lions, who are one of the worst defenses in the league. You lean toward the Cowboys on that. But the other side to it is if Detroit shows up and plays the offense that they played in the beginning of the year, they may be able to outrun Dallas. But I want to stick with the safer money here, I think. I'm going to stick with the Cowboys. Rush probably has a bounce back game. I think the Eagles they gave him a really hard time. And with the way that Hurts is able to move the pocket, those pass rushers weren't really able to get home like they may be able to against Jared Goff.
All right, the Detroit Lions, they've had some time to lick their wounds after that drubbing from New England. And they're going to get their stars back. St. Brown should be playing. Deandre Swift is probable. Goff's at 60%, 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And I think the cool thing with the Detroit Lions offense, that offensive line is so much improved over last year. They have allowed only 7 sacks. Last year, sacks were a big problem. But they still have that defense that's last in the league, both in points and in yards allowed. They just got nothing going on in defense. And they still have the same defensive coordinator that I was kind of wondering about last week. Dalton Schultz for Detroit or Dallas is questionable.
They don't throw him the ball anyway.
Yeah,
they should. Why? He's a pretty good tight end.
Yeah, he should get the ball more. They're slightly improved on penalties. They've gone from when they used to get 10 penalties to now they're only getting 7 penalties a game. So that's an improvement. They've got Detroit, Chicago, and Green Bay before they have to take on Minnesota and the New York Giants. So this is a chance to make some hay before those come to Jesus games come to them. I think the Lester is fading a little bit on Cooper Rush. He's at 57%, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I don't think that Dak is going to be there, but they're kind of pushing for it. And
yeah, they want him back, and they're saying that he's looking better.
Again, if he comes back, they need to have him not the whole focus of everything, but they need to keep that running game going with Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. I think that's really what's made the difference for Dallas this year. When you can run the ball and control the ball, it helps your defense also because they're not on the field too much. Okay, DJ's got the Cowboys, and Lori has got the Cowboys also. Next game is Indianapolis at Tennessee.
Tough game here. AFC South. Pick'em game to me. The Titans won the first meeting. It's odd to have them meet again so soon, but it's one of those where the Colts looked really good last week. They really took it to them and played a lot better in the passing game. Pittman really went off, their receiver. But the Titans seem to have their number. I like them at home here. I think that they'll get enough out of that offense, and that the Colts might come crashing back down to earth offensively. I tend to think that they are probably a subpar offense, and I just really don't see much creativity there. So the Titans know him well; they'll shut him down. Vrabel's a better coach.
Yeah, quite the Jekyll and Hyde team here. So no Jonathan Taylor last week, and Matt Ryan throws the ball 58 times, which
Right.
is way more than they had done any previous game. The offensive line is playing at a high level, apparently, in pass blocking and run blocking. So that's helpful. And they actually had they didn't use him very much, but Deion Jackson did a good job at running back, and he won the Angry Run award on Good Morning Football.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, when he plowed over a Raven at the goal line.
Yes.
The Colts still have Kwity Paye and Shaq Leonard may still be out. That's two big losses on defense. Tennessee, Derrick Henry is just not as scary as he used to be. He's still under 4 yards per carry. Longest run is still only 24 yards. They still rely on him, though, and they're going to need to because there's not a lot of help by way of receivers. So if you look at this game between Matt Ryan or Tannehill, probably got to go with Matt Ryan. But overall, I still think Tennessee is a stronger team. They can get after the quarterback on defense with Simmons, Autry, and Weaver. They each have three to four sacks themselves. So I'm picking Tennessee. Lori's got the Titans. Let's move to Green Bay and Washington. Sportsman Z ordered a whole new set of new helmets on his show, and check out his channel. I think it's a great channel. So he could get the correct Washington helmet. They're a little bit smaller, though. There is one helmet I have that's not correct. The Jets green helmet, the logo is slightly different. Their modern logo on the green helmet is slightly different than what they used to have. But so much for trivia. Back to the picks. Green Bay, Washington.
Well, we're going to get to see Taylor Heineke's debut this season, so that's just something to look forward to. He's a gritty player. Washington's pretty bad, though. McLaurin's really all they have out there that scares you offensively, and they're kind of wasting his prime by rolling out these teams every year that really don't have much of a shot. But there's a dearth of talent, and nobody wants to go there in free agency because of the owner and the recent, well, not recent, the over 20 years of history of them really not being good. Green Bay, they have a lot to figure out, but what is it that Aaron Rodgers says? Relax, RELAX. I think that they're going to relax in this game. They're going to have a pretty easy time. They can put up about 21 points and pretty safely beat the Commanders.
Washington still has 5 investigations against them, against Daniel Snyder. There's nothing official about bringing him up in the league meetings, but I'd be surprised if they don't have some kind of a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
It takes 24 votes to evict an owner.
It's time.
Dallas's guy kind of likes him, though. Jerry Jones, I don't know why. And, if he changes his mind, then maybe something will happen in the winter meetings.
It's a weird thing, I think.
Yeah. Heineke could bring some infusion into the lineup and into the passing game, but he's going to have to deal with Jair Alexander. Alexander blanketed Garrett Wilson. He has a shutdown corner, so whoever Heineke's favorite receiver is going to be, he probably won't be available.
Right. Irsay came out just today saying that it merits looking at getting rid of Snyder. So the Colts
That's the strongest thing I've heard yet from the owners. They might bring it up. They got time to mull it over and work it out. I think Green Bay is going to do it. I thought with Watkins, Sammy Watkins, and Christian Watson. Watson's still injured. He might be back. Watkins, he's pulling his yearly hamstring thing. He won't be playing. But this
injury waiting to happen. He can't stay healthy.
Yeah, it is. This is a good get-right game for Green Bay. Green Bay is struggling and searching. They'll find some answers, I think, against the Commanders. Commanders kind of looked awful on Thursday night. That's two really – maybe three. Two really bad Thursday night games.
I can't believe they're doing this to Amazon. They paid all this money to get those Thursday night games, and they're just giving them stink fests every week. It's wild.
Maybe somebody at the NFL is mad at Jeff Bezos. Who knows?
Clearly, he made somebody very upset in the scheduling office.
Okay, Lori and DJ John are both on Green Bay. Let's move to Tampa Bay and Carolina.
Easy. Tampa Bay. We're gonna make this one a quick one. I think that Brady and his receivers are probably gonna look great in this game. Carolina's got an okay defense, not a lot of offense. McCaffrey and DJ Moore have to go off in order for them to put any points up on the scoreboard. I don't really know what they're going to play for in Carolina for the rest of the year. Interim coach, really kind of a tough situation, and they've got trade rumors swirling. People are looking at picking up the receiver and the running back on the cheap, and they may get them for probably about a third-round pick each, but we'll see. And Tampa is just way more talented, and that defense is going to just make life very difficult.
Okay, DJ and Lori both have Tampa Bay. I said Tom Brady's coming out left field in a couple areas, and last week it was not a good look at him screaming out, spit on the sideline, and yelling at his offensive line after he attended Robert Kraft's birthday party on Friday and missed another practice. That's just not the playbook for leadership. And did you see the looks on the offensive linemen's faces? It's like, we're not really.
Yeah, we're tired of this.
Yeah, we're getting tired of this.
Yeah.
Green Bay's defense has been outstanding. 11 different defenders have sacks. I'd love to have that on the chase. 11. That's basically everybody on the team has at least sacked the quarterback once. So I think the Bucs should contain McCaffrey and get an easy victory. I'm picking the Bucs. I think we all picked the Bucs straight up. Next is the New York Giants and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Another one that I kind of consider to be a pick'em game.
It's a tough game to pick. As you said, both teams are kind of solid, surprisingly so in the Giants' case. And, well, really, we thought the Jaguars would make a leap, but they've been a little bit shaky recently. They haven't played up to what I believe they're able to play up to, and I think that the coaching edge has to be with New York. They're able to generate offense. They're being creative, going out of the Wildcat, as we mentioned last week. Saquon Barkley looks like the player that they drafted with the second pick. Running backs shouldn't go that high, as evidenced by his injury history. I have a hard time picking against the Giants in this game with some rough weeks from the Jaguars just recently. I like what Daniel Jones is doing. He's getting the ball out to his anonymous receiving core. I have to look up the player every time he throws the ball to see where in the world they found this guy. But they're making it work. They are. And the defense is solid. They're a bend don't break defense. And when they get to the red zone, they're forcing some field goals. I think that they're the favorite for me in this one.
All right. Kayvon Thibodeau is starting to come on. He got a strip sack on Lamar Jackson last week. Watching the Giants is kind of fun to watch their defense. They play a lot of 4-down linemen, 7 defensive backs to have a faster defense. They do have linebackers that play some, but they're doing a lot of, I guess you'd call it a 4-7 defense, more than a dime. One guy more than a dime defense. They've got a good kicker. Gano's been outstanding with his field goals. And I think that is the difference. Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka is a coaching advantage. A couple of weeks ago, people were already saying that he's the coach of the year, and then the media was cracking back on that, saying it's way too soon. But every week, it looks more and more like Brian Daboll is the coach of the year with the job he's doing without the wide receiver core. The 4 top guys have not been able to be there. So it's been amazing. Jacksonville was a hot team at the beginning of the season. They're still are going to have a defense that's going to be hard to crack. They're above average, up front, rushing the passer and on run defense. They have an above average run game, and Kirk has 362 yards receiving. And you're not hearing so much about Lawrence turning the ball over lately. So he's at 66%, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Most of those interceptions, I think, came in the first 2 weeks. So he maybe hadn't had one for a few weeks.
And then he had the 4 fumble game.
Yeah, well, that was in a monsoon, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to think hard about this. But I think one of the real stories of the season is New York football.
Jets, too.
Buffalo, the Jets, and the Giants. I think it continues. I think there's a lot of momentum there, and I think it keeps going one more week at least. Next game is Cleveland at the Baltimore Ravens.
Cleveland's sputtered. Their offense, which came out, and it looked like Jacoby Brissett might be a competent NFL quarterback that, we've been hearing about for years, ever since he was coming up as a backup with New England. Look at this guy Brissett. We're going to see great things from him. And then he makes stops at other teams, and he looks pretty good with some teams. The Colts, the first couple weeks, he's pretty good. He's making plays. He's rolling out. He's hitting people, and they're handing the ball off a lot. But once he's a couple weeks into the tenure with any team, he just falls off a cliff, and he's at the bottom of the cliff unfortunately for the Browns. The Ravens lost tough game that they could have won, I thought, last week. They really are struggling to find anyone other than Mark Andrews to get the ball to. He is phenomenal, but when it's only one guy that your quarterback's able to rely on, that's very difficult for Lamar Jackson, he's playing okay. He's just so limited with his passing options that it does make generating that push down the field, especially toward the end of the game, tough. But I think the Ravens will have plenty to win this game. I think the running game should work fairly well against a defense from Cleveland that I've not seen much from. So give me the Ravens.
DJ and Lori are taking Baltimore, and I'm also with you on Baltimore. If the Ravens can contain Nick Chubb, who's at 649 yards and almost a 6-yard per average carry, they're going to have to contain Chubb. But if they do, that's going to put more pressure on Brissett, and I don't think he will respond with extra pressure. Like you say, his luster is fading. 60%, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Baltimore, they're finding a little bit of help from Lamar Jackson. That tight end Andrews, like you mentioned, it's like a best of Kelsey. And I think it's not close. He is really good. And last week, Kenyon Drake had 119 yards rushing, so it looks like they might have found themselves a running back with Jason Hill out. J.K. Dobbins is not injured, but he just didn't run the ball very well. There's two ways to run the ball as a running back. Some guys have the Le'Veon Bell style, which I've always hated, where you get the ball and you look. Yeah, they call it patience and follow your blockers. I hate that. I'd rather see a back get the ball and get to the hole as quick as possible, like Kareem Hunt, and then look after they get to the hole. I've always preferred that. And J.K. Dobbins is just way too much Le'Veon Bell. He's averaging only a little bit over 3 yards per carry. I just don't think he's all that good. And the other problem with Baltimore is their defense is below average, and there's just no standout players on that defense. Cleveland's got a pretty good offense, so to me, that was another kind of a pick 'em game, but I went with Baltimore. So far, everybody's agreeing. We have no DJ picked New Orleans, but we have all agreed on everything else. I'm a little surprised. All right, the next game is the New York Jets at those Denver Broncos.
Ooh.
It is hard to beat Denver. It's, for a new team going to Denver, it's a different experience.
It is. They're very young. They've got a lot of pieces that are, untested in some ways, but they're on a roll. They really are. They're playing great, both sides of the ball. Breece Hall is up there with any running back in the league at this point in the season, in my opinion, just from what I see out of him running the ball. Chubb's probably a tier above talent-wise, but Hall is having a great season. The Broncos, they can't get out of their own way. They should have won that game against Los Angeles so many times, and they just are incompetent. The defense is okay, but can they score enough points to stay with the Jets? Can they stop the Jets enough? I don't think so again. So give me the Jets. I just don't understand what Russell Wilson's doing, and I think Hackett is one of the worst coaching hires in the past decade, probably, for a new head coach.
Yeah, I'm taking the New York Jets as well. Last week I went one-on-one with the New York teams. That was a mistake. So I'm picking both of these New York teams to win this week. So is DJ, and so is Lori. They're both picking the Jets.
We swear, guys, we didn't talk about this before we came on.
No, we do not. But they've got a huge coaching advantage over Hackett. Sale is very popular with his players, and he's leading them and scheming things up. Mike LaFleur is probably doing most of the offensive scheming. He's related to the Green Bay coach. So Sala and LaFleur are way better than Hackett and Evero. The Jets really need this because the next game is with New England. And I'm just hoping it's not a trap game like where they're planning 2 weeks for New England. But I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think a young team would be quite as susceptible to trap games. I watched that Jets-Packer game last week, and their offensive line is way better than I thought. They play with a low pad level. I knew 75 was good, but the left tackle 71. He's not real tall, but he is outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's his name?
Oh, let me look. Hang on.
Well, I forgot to write his name down. Breece Hall's averaging 5 yards a carry, and they've got a defensive tackle that's probably right up there in the class of Chris Jones and Aaron Donald and Quinnen Williams. He's a star. He's got 5 sacks, and he was on angry runs with the football return 2 weeks ago. But he's a definite NFL star. Quinnen Williams, number 95. Watch him the next time you watch the Jets.
Dwayne Brown.
Oh, good. Dwayne Brown, yeah. Got to remember that.
Good player, yeah.
Denver's offense, last in red zone offense. They're awful there. Russell Wilson was supposed to have an MRI on his hamstring this afternoon. So, and the feeling going into that is that it's serious. So we might be looking at Brett Rupian, who I think has only thrown a couple of NFL passes in 2021. He hadn't thrown any this year. He is a 4-year starter from Boise State. But I don't get the feeling with Brett Rupian that I had with Bailey Zappi of New England. I knew Bailey Zappi would be a hit and would be very good with New England. And I talked about that 2 or 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I talked about it every week. And I think Bailey Zappi is the Zappi experience. I think he's the real deal. Not too sure about Brett Rupian. There's just nothing to go off of. Everybody is on the Jets. We're all picking the Jets. Next game is the Houston Texans and the Las Vegas Raiders.
I'm on the Raiders here, but this could be a setup game for them as well. They need to figure out their offense. They're coming off that bye, so I expect them to be fairly well prepared. And the Texans are pretty talentless. They've got the rookie running back who I think everybody likes, but Davis Mills is he's really not shining exactly the way Jacoby Brissett is. They're playing similar ball in my opinion, and I really don't love anything about the Texans defense. They're okay, and I think the Raiders really need this game. They're going to be looking to get all the wins they can get on these kind of gimme games, in my opinion, so that they can get back in the playoff hunt.
I'm not sure I'm ready to say it's a gimme game. Houston, Davis Mills, 63%. But he is worse. Kind of like Kirk Cousins in prime times, he is noticed to be worse on the road than he is at home, better at home than he is on the road. And here he is on the road. The secondary is, I think, the credible part of Houston's defense. They got 6 interceptions. That's Petrie, King, and Stingley Jr. That's pretty good. 6 interceptions in your secondary. But now they're looking at Las Vegas Raiders that have all of their receivers healthy.
Waller.
Yeah, Waller's back. And they got Renfro, and then they have Hollins, and then they got Devontae Adams. Pick your poison. There could be some picks in this game, and I think that's the Texans' only hope. Vegas' 4 losses are only by a combined 14 points. So they're the best 1-4 team you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I can say that, yeah. So everybody is on the Vegas Raiders. Next up, we've got Seattle at the Los Angeles Chargers. They're wearing a different helmet. It's going to be a blue bolt on the helmet this week.
Wow.
White helmet, a blue bolt number.
Okay. Well, I think this is Keenan Allen's comeback at home here this week, from what I've read. It's hard to say on a Tuesday, of course.
Last I read today, it's still iffy.
Still iffy?
Yeah.
I read another thing that said, maybe. So, that's the news for you. I think that the Chargers may not need him against a secondary with Seattle that really can't stop anybody. They need to get Mike Williams going in a game like the Broncos game. He's the deep threat that they really weren't looking at all in that game, and I never figured out why. I didn't know if he was banged up or what, but I expect him to have a better game against this Seahawks team. Could be a lot of fireworks in this one. Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett can really sling it. But they really can't stop anybody either. And the Chargers, that defense led by Derwin James is really good. James is one of the premier defensive players at safety in the league, in my opinion. I think Khalil Mack is playing well enough and the defensive line in the absence of Joey Bosa to still generate good enough pressure. They were in Russell Wilson's face a lot. And I don't believe that Seattle will have much more success. So give me the Chargers, and can't wait to see that blue bolt. Should be interesting.
Would you say that Derwin James and L'Jarius Sneed are similar players? I think they're pretty much
Swiss
kind of the
Army
same.
type of guys. Yeah.
Yeah, both love to hit, both love to tackle,
Mhm.
And both can cover. So, you do hear good things about Sneed. He's not thought of as in Derwin James's class, but I think he's kind of there. I think they're both kind of the same guy. I watched a lot of that Chargers game. The officiating is not getting any better, especially in that game. There was a false start when the defender came across unabated at the quarterback, and the Charger guy moved, and they called it on the Charger guy. I was like, what in the world? Zion Johnson had 3 holding calls. He's kind of struggling in his rookie season. And they may need to get a field goal kicker, the Chargers, with all the drama with Dustin Hopkins with the wrap around his leg and the hamstring. He was good. He hit his field goals, but I don't know if he's going to be available next week. Eckler and Michelle are running hard, and that is quite a show. They might be one of the better tandems out there. And Khalil Mack has 6 sacks and 7 tackles for a loss. I think he's making a case for himself being the defensive player of the year so far. This game was hard for me to pick. Geno Smith is outstanding. I had him wrong earlier in the year, 73%, 9 touchdowns and only 2 picks. And they found an answer to the Penny injury. Kenneth Walker, the third, is averaging 5.5 yards per carry. Had a long run of 69 yards. I know one of the Seattle defensive players' names, cornerback Tariq Woolen, has 4 interceptions, so I can file that name away.
There you go.
Hebert might find him. And if he does, Seattle's got an offense. To me, it was a kind of a picking game. But I put down LA Chargers, and every time I change my mind, I usually
get it wrong.
Get burned for it. Next game is the Chiefs at San Francisco. I think that's another 3:30 game. It should be a primetime game.
Yeah, it should. It'll be a good game. The Niners are a pretty good offense. They show up some weeks, and some weeks they kind of don't. They had an off week last week, for sure. The defense is very good. Bosa, excellent. Warner, love Fred Warner. He's something to watch. Not too surprising from them this year. Samuel has been oddly quiet. He's getting his, but it's not been on the level of last year for sure. The Chiefs are probably the better team here. I'll take them here. They need this win. I know they'll be focused. Rematch of the Super Bowl the Chiefs won a couple years ago. Totally different teams though. Chiefs really need to figure out reliable receiving. I am very worried about Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I think they need to look for somebody in a trade. If they can pull in a receiver that they can plug in and get on the same page with Mahomes, that would be huge. Those 50-50 balls, we don't have a lot of guys that can win those, and that is concerning going forward. I think the defense showed up and is looking to get better. The defensive line really does need to generate more pressure. They're having to blitz to really create pressure.
And then we got burned.
Yeah. And you get burned every once in a while when you have to do that. So defensive line has to step up for the Chiefs, but I would think that they win this game.
all in all, with two cornerbacks that are rookies against Josh Allen and those receivers, our defense held up pretty well.
Yeah.
If we don't get that pick in the end zone early on, and if we hit that field goal we missed, we win the game.
Easy.
It's that simple. Again, it's tough to make these picks on Tuesday night. I get up on Saturday and discover that all five of the San Francisco 49ers and two of their linebackers couldn't practice. We're on the injured list. They've got about 22 guys on the injured list.
They do. They're hurt.
It's unbelievable. They didn't have anybody to play last week on defense. As far as starters go, they still have. Well, Mosley's out for the season, linebacker.
Yeah.
I think Ward will still be out.
Mm-hmm.
They're missing Trent Williams, of course, on the offensive line. McKivitz was out last week on the offensive line, and he may be out this week as well. Verrett was out. Defensive line Hurst was out. Bosa and Armistead are still day-to-day.
Yeah.
So it's a mash unit, and you don't know who's going to be healthy enough to stand up to a very physical Kansas City Chiefs team. That's the whole reason why I'm picking Kansas City. We were missing at cornerback Fenton last week, but the week before that, I noticed that one part of the game that Fenton doesn't like to do is tackling.
Yes.
He does not like to tackle.
No, if there's a chance that he might have to tackle somebody, he tries to get past.
Let's see, Tershawn Wharton, who can rush the passer on a good day. He's out for the season with an injury. But now Willie Gay returns. And Andy Reid said that he's looking with an eye toward playing Trent McDuffie. He had 2 weeks to come off the IR, and the Chiefs needed to make a decision on him. And I think Reid said he's leaning toward playing. So that'll be very good if we can get him back. Mahomes had 2 picks last week, but he's still way up there in quarterback stats. I think Kansas City will roll. Next game is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Miami Dolphins. And Tua is back in practice and off protocols. So is Bridgewater.
Yes. Okay. They're both back on the same week. Trubisky looked pretty frisky last week. He was slinging it. The Steelers got a big win that I did not see coming. Tua back for the Dolphins is huge. I'm hoping he's fully recovered. I hope he looks sharp this week. I want to see him play good football because it's just hard to watch a guy, especially playing that well, and that's worked so hard to get to the NFL and be healthy in the NFL. Hard to see that happen to somebody. I'll take the Dolphins. I think that they're just loaded those 2 receivers together are impossible to cover. If you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on the same field, the defense is gonna have trouble. And Minkah Fitzpatrick, he seems like he's everywhere, but in this game, he's gonna have to pick his poison. And I think Tua will find the other guy every time. So I'll take the Dolphins. Pretty confident on this one.
The Dolphins are certainly getting the ball to their playmakers. Do you know how many picks Hill's got? I think I have this right.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, he's got 50 catches. And Waddle he's in the 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 30 catches. Yeah, he's got 50 catches. Hill, 701 yards already. And Waddle's got 533 yards. And Mostert is starting to run the ball pretty well. He's up to a 4.4 yard average. I can see Pittsburgh running the ball on them, Najee Harris. the Dolphins are not getting any production in run defense or pass rush from their defensive front. So I could see Najee Harris having some success, and maybe the whole show doesn't have to be Trubisky. Pickett is under concussion protocol, but Mike Tomlin said today that he's planning to have Pickett at practice Wednesday, and he's planning on Pickett's playing on Sunday. So the league might tell him otherwise. We'll see what comes out of that.
I would think that he'd have to sit this week, but okay.
That good tight end that Pittsburgh has, Fairmouth, is also concussed, and he's questionable as well. So I think we're all on the Dolphins. Lori picked the Dolphins. DJ picked the Dolphins. And you and I are on Miami Sunday night. I think that'll be an entertaining Sunday night game.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure about the Monday night game.
It's going to be a stinker.
Chicago and New England.
You know, I had that game on Thursday night with Washington and them, and it was just like, it was brutal. It was some of the worst football I've ever seen. Unbelievable stuff from two historically proud NFL franchises. The Bears are bad, and they came out in the first half, and they did not want to be there. The body language is poor. Fields is getting just the hits that poor guy is taking every week. They're gonna pile up eventually. He's a little skittish. He's not looking to get the ball out of his hands. He's looking to run, which is usually not a recipe for success at the NFL level. New England has figured out their run game beautifully. They are able to move the ball well. They're putting up a lot of points. They're not going to have any trouble with this Bears team. Oh, and highlight of that Thursday night game. Did you see the block that Carson Wentz laid on Roquan Smith?
Yes.
I
think he's surprised. Smith did not expect that at all. He's totally surprised.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that'll be on Carson Wentz's highlight reel for the rest of his life, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. They ever do an NFL network profile on Carson Wentz, which isn't likely. That'll definitely be on there.
And when you do something like that, that wins a lot of points with your teammates, for sure. Chicago looks like a high school offense. I mean, there's no imagination whatsoever. They pass the ball less than 20 times a game. Now they might be missing two offensive linemen and Whitehair. He's questionable. Leatherwood missed practice with illness, so I think he's kind of questionable. I was kind of looking forward to see what Pringle could do. He used to be a Chief, but he's on IR. So it's a 31st ranked offense, and they're just not coming up with schemes and smart things to do with the football. There's some talent on the team. Mooney is fast. They've got running backs. There's some talent there, but I think the coaching is not NFL quality. The only thing bad I have to say about New England, I just hate their uniforms. I wish they'd go back to the original uniforms. Maybe that's because that's the first NFL game I ever saw. It was the Patriots at the Chiefs, 1963. Love those helmets. Love just the color combination of those white uniforms. I especially dislike the silver helmets with white shirts and the blue pants. When they go white shirt, silver helmets with white shirt and white pants, it's tolerable. I think that's okay. But that blue combination,
It's a Canadian football look is what it is. I don't know. I don't love it either. It's like before the Bills. Remember when the Bills redid their jerseys during like that Willis McGahee period, and it was just like the weird red and blue, and it just looked like a XFL shirt or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was rough.
I do kind of like the red helmets. You don't see a lot of red NFL helmets. Yeah, you did in those days.
I like when the Falcons wear theirs. Those are cool.
Yeah, they did that last week, and they do look sharp. I think so too. Yeah, the only throwback alternate helmets is Arizona and the black one. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
The black with the red cardinal, and then the white Charger helmet with the blue bolt. Not a whole lot to sum up here. We agree on everything.
That's
DJ
scary.
had New Orleans, and I thought we'd have lots of differences because to me, I was looking at maybe 5 or 6 pick-em picks, but we're all thinking the same thing. So if this ship goes down, we're all on it.
All right. Well, I'm bailing water as we speak.
I'm going to be getting these picks now to Rob, whose show starts about now. Now, Rob's channel, they do college picks, and they do with the line picks. And then at the end of his show, they do the straight up picks to match with our channel. But anyway, thanks for joining us, DJ, and staying with us the whole way. Thank you. And thanks for joining us, Apple Lori. Apple Lori has a terrific strategy. She is ahead of us all. And if she picks just like the rest of us, she'll finish ahead of us all. That's a good strategy.
I like it.
And it'll be a happy marriage all through the year.
Happy wife, happy life. I like it. Very good.
That was good news we got on Susanna's finger. I kind of thought it was a virus, not what she was thinking.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It was good. We were a little relieved, just a little.
Yeah.
So
Well, thanks again, Dan, for joining us. Have a good week, everybody, and enjoy your football weekend. Goodbye.